Gabriela, I don't know if it's from my side, but I just have a lot of interference in your voice.
Yes, we are transmitting from Fitur, that's why. Welcome everybody to this webinar to launch the child protection campaign in the lead up to FIFA World Cup. We are transmitting here from Fitur, the event in Mexico. That's why you can hear the background noise, but it's only when I'm speaking. The panelists will not have the background noise. We are very happy to be here at the Mexico pavilion, at the Mexico City stand at Fitur in Madrid. Please choose interpretation. As panelists will be speaking in English and Spanish. This meeting is being recorded. And we are very happy to launch this campaign to engage business, travelers, and communities to protect children from sexual exploitation. And we invite you to be part of the team. With this, I hand over to Guillaume.
Thank you, Gabriela. Many of you know Gabriela because she's been the face and the trailblazer in working on the issue of child protection in travel and tourism. So thanking you again for leading this initiative and making this very significant contribution. We're excited to be with you today for the launch of something that started, interestingly, a year ago in Mexico as well. So it seems like the nature is sending us back to that cycle of returning to Mexico, where things started, to generate a series of tools and opportunities to engage with the private sector. You know that ECPAT International strongly believes in the potential and the role that the private sector can play in the child protection system to prevent and address different forms of violence and sexual exploitation of children. And in that sense, large sporting events like the FIFA, it's just an example, it's an opportunity, but it is one of those events that brings together people in the travel and tourism sector with the huge number of people who will get to the places where the events will be played. And therefore, sort of when you look at it beyond the stadium themselves, you see that there are a lot of people who witness, who are there, who see things, who can do something. It's a matter to speak to them, to empower them, to orient them so that all of our society can just be better off. And that's the angle that we chose to take, and really trying to transform the communities who will be receiving into the full potential of the economic and social empowerment that sport can bring, while also reducing the risk that sometimes comes with hosting such large events. And when we talk about the private sector, it's important to look at it from a broad sense. Of course, there's the transport industry. Of course, there's the accommodation, but there's also the taxi drivers, the informal economy of those selling stuff in the streets, and the restaurants as well, the booking platforms as well, bringing the technology dimension into the picture. So really sort of embracing the broad sense of the travel and tourism sector that gravitate along those large events themselves, and seeing everyone playing a part in the child protection system and being able to do something. So in that sense, we're very proud to be part of this alliance supported by the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, led by Terre des Hommes, together with Plan, CRC Asia, Connexion, Free a Girl, Defense for Children, and ECPAT International. So together, we brought this civil society lens, not only in Mexico, North America, therefore Canada and the United States, but in all the communities, in all the countries where fans will be be traveling funds to attend those events, the countries where teams will be coming from to play the games. And therefore, that's the momentum we're trying to build on. And this is why also we're launching this months in advance, because the purpose is to be able to start with a bottom-up approach and empower those who are locally grounded to speak to their counterparts, their fans, their teams, their travel industry, and engage together in those prevention strategies there. You will see a lot of the material don't necessarily have logo. This is something that ECPAT is promoting. So it's not about us. It's about empowering people to be able to use material that can be recycled across events, across countries, across organizations. So you can use what we produce. You can own it. You can use different languages, versions of it, and you can run with it. So in that sense, it should be sort of a broad reference point of a campaign material that can be used empowering people there. Moving to the next slide, we also wanted to make the connections with the code. This is an instrument that many of you are well aware of. This is a long-standing flagship aspect in the way ECPAT works with the private sector. So you have 400 members companies who already are member of this initiative. You see on the left-hand side, there are 6 guiding principles that orient the way the private sector can take concrete action in embodying safeguarding and child protection in the way they operate, and looking at not only their obligations with national law, due diligence, and so forth, but also the ethical, the empowering aspect they can have within their team to be on the right side of the road and do concrete and simple things that makes a difference for child protection. And so in that sense, we're very proud to have someone like Jimena Fuentes Diaz from Volaris, which is one of our top members in the code, who will speak later on as the head of corporate social sustainability. And there's also Jill Rasko, the chair of the Meeting Professionals International, MPI, and Anti-Human Trafficking Committee. So they're also members of the code, and they'll be able to reflect as well on the connections between that long-standing tool and the specificity of the campaign around FIFA there. Moving to the last slide, I wanted to take a moment on my side to also welcome a lot of the guest speakers. So we're really excited and privileged to have Marie-Laure Lemineur. She's, of course, a long-term friend of our movement, but she certainly is the head of the safeguarding and child protection at FIFA. And she's together also with Gary Bai from the FIFA event safeguarding senior manager for the FIFA World Cup 2026. So we're privileged to be able to hear from them and make as many connections with the driving force that they have to look at it from a broad sense of all the dimensions of safeguarding that are actually being taken into account in the way the games are being organized. From the Canadian point of view, we also have Marc-Antoine Terrien, who is the senior manager at Public Safety Canada, who will reflect on the Canadian effort of that work. There's also Lieutenant Jason Bailey and Sergeant Salvatore Porcaro from the PABT Police Command and Youth Service Unit of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, will give us the edge on some of the actions taken from the United States point of view. In that sense, also very privileged to have 2 of our ECPAT members, so the International Bureau for Children's Rights. So Sarah Aliafi is there from Canada, and also from PACT, you will have different team members who are also there to represent our member in the United States. And finally, of course, with Mexico, with Norma and Grete from ECPAT Mexico, also representing the civil society movement from this wonderful country. Thank you as well to, so far we're getting into the 120 participants who are joining, 200 registered, so hopefully we get some more even there. There's representation from UN agency, tourism authorities, businesses, civil society movement. Please use the chat functions to also introduce yourself and make extra connections during that webinar as well, but this is a critical element so that it can be owned, it can be known. So please benefit from that webinar and making connections and making sure you can download the material and adjust it in advance for the games. And I wanted to conclude with an appreciation and a thank you to the host of the venue itself, the Secretaría del Turismo de Mexico, the City of Mexico, and FIACET hosting the launch of the Mexico Pavilion at Fitur, where Gabriela is at the moment. So a particular thank you for the support of the campaign from Clara Brugada, la jefa de gobierno de la Ciudad de México. There's also Alexandra Frausto, secretaria de Turismo de la Ciudad de México. And finally, Jimena Molina, jefa de oficina de la Secretaria del Turismo of Mexico. So great leadership from Mexico on the matters as well, which matches as well the fact that they're one of the 3 host countries for the game. So enough from me, but you can see the movement already that led to the establishment of this initiative and the material itself, and hopefully we can expand in this webinar today the number of people who feel they can commit to this and run with it in their own context, and that's the ambition there. So I'll hand over to Gaston Garcia, the coordinator de la Oficina Mundial 2026 from Ciudad de Mexico, and as well as Carmen, María del Carmen Salazar Bello, the Presidenta Federación Internacional de Asociaciones de Ejecutivas de Empresas Turísticas, the FIACET. So the floor is yours to continue the webinar. Thank you so much.
I think that Gaston is not yet with us here, but Maria, if I can hand over to you, thank you so much for your support. And starting with the welcoming remarks.
Audio. ¿Qué tal? Buenas tardes a todos, buenos días América. En primer lugar, agradecer a todo el equipo de EPAC Internacional el lanzamiento de esta maravillosa campaña de la protección infantil en el marco de la Copa Mundial de la FIFA 2026. Y dar las gracias encabezando a su director ejecutivo, Bojan Landry, por esta campaña tan maravillosa. Es para nosotros, como FIACET, un tema muy importante siempre la lucha desde el año 1996. Nosotras estamos en una lucha contra la explotación sexual de niños, niñas y adolescentes en el mundo del turismo. ¿Qué es lo que quiero decirles? Nosotros como federación llevamos desde el año más de 45 años de fundación, estamos integradas en 19 asociaciones en 10 países de Iberoamérica y formamos parte de 400 mujeres todas del sector turístico. La Federación Internacional de Asociaciones, la Federación Internacional de Asociaciones de Ejecutivas de Empresas Turísticas nos hemos comprometido en lanzar esta campaña en todo México con nuestra asociación, que es AMED México. ¿Y qué es lo que queremos? Queremos promocionar esta campaña a todos los niveles públicos y privados. Y queremos que sea nuestra bandera irrenunciable para comprometernos ante los entes públicos y privados del turismo en acciones de solidaridad, sensibilidad y prevención para generar un turismo realmente sociable, sostenible y ético. Es un compromiso que llevaremos adelante durante todo la antemano desde ya, pero también informando a nuestros clientes, a nuestros viajeros, de lo que hay que hacer para evitar este problema. Creo que es muy importante esta actuación que estamos haciendo hoy, porque la única manera de dar a conocer esta problemática, esta lacra del mundo del turismo, es evitar que se haga. Pero ¿cómo se evita? Conociéndolo y no escondiéndonos detrás de otras cosas. La realidad es que el turismo es un bien maravilloso pero tenemos una lacra importante. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que queremos? Nosotros nos comprometemos a promover en el sector turístico esta adhesión a esta campaña y muy especialmente a las agencias operadoras que venden el servicio de la Copa de América, la Copa Mundial, informando a sus pasajeros para que sean los aliados en la prevención de esta explotación en general y de niños y niñas adolescentes en particular y durante este evento. También resaltamos la importancia de reconocer el rol de todos los sectores del turismo en la prevención de la explotación sexual de los infantes en viajes y turismo. Y también de ver la importancia de incluir a las comunidades turísticas en pos de buscar un turismo responsable y respetuoso tanto social como cultural. Y por ello nuestras socias mexicanas tendrán un rol muy importante desde AMIT México para prevenir en este evento. Nosotros en FIASET, no quiero aburrirles más, nosotros en FIASET tenemos un eslogan que dice, cada una de nosotras, de nuestras socias, somos una gota en el océano, pero juntas unimos, somos juntas y unidas podemos formar un tsunami. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que quiero? Que quiero decirles que nos comprometemos a luchar por esta campaña y llevarla a todos nuestros países donde estamos. Muchísimas gracias por esta oportunidad tan maravillosa y de verdad felicitarles por esta iniciativa. Muchas gracias, y yo, Landry.
Thank you so much, Maria, and thank you also, Barbara, who is here with me, for all your support to this initiative at the FI Tour and at the stand of the Mexico City. So we are here together. I think Gaston is about to be with us, but I don't see him yet. So I think at this stage, we'll go ahead with the presentation of the campaign. And I will hand over to Alex and Kimberly.
Thank you so much, Gabriella and team. It's lovely to be here. We have been working with Gabriella and colleagues for a couple of months now, and we are truly excited to be seeing this campaign going live. I will just wait a couple of seconds that my colleague will be sharing the presentation. Apologies. Here we go. Thank you so much, Thoxy. Okay, so where did we start with this campaign and the whole idea behind it? So with the hashtag and tagline, we came up with the one team, one goal. We really wanted a tagline that really came across as something that really conveyed the concept of unity, collaboration, and shared purpose. Something relatable and connected to the sport of football, which is such a great team sport. At the same time, we wanted it to be relatable with the fans and everyone that knows the sport very well. It is a great opportunity, like Guillaume said, to come together as a team, as a coordinated, collected effort to protect children from sexual exploitation. And we wanted to convey that in the hashtag as well. So we came up with the hashtag We Protect Children, because every individual and business really has a role to play to be aware of the signs, raise those signs and report suspicious behaviour. Next slide, Thoxy. Thank you. So Guillaume already touched on this, but I'll just go through this very briefly. When we were creating the campaign, we had 4 key audiences in mind, that being the private sector partners, very key in all of this, and companies, sponsors, stakeholders, etc. Those who are very much on the call today, and that we are very happy that hopefully you will share this content. Football fans that are coming from across the world, that are obviously very interested in the event itself, but really serve as a primary audience for the tailored messaging that you will see shortly, that my colleague Kim will take you through. And they may not be very familiar with the local reporting systems, but this is why the campaign serves as a great opportunity to raise awareness and what exactly they can do. Same goes for tourists and visitors. And also, there's a great opportunity for local communities in host cities, like Guillaume said, with hospitality, transport, and service industries who are really present there on a daily basis and might see events of this nature and don't know how to report it. So being able to be given those tools to report any suspicious activities. Next slide, Doxy. Thank you. So when we were putting the campaign together, we really thought of the flexibility of channels, formats, and languages as well to give you a range of different assets that could be promoted across your channels. So you will see when Kim takes you through it, a mix of statics, carousels, GIF, and Reels. We did take into consideration social media, website, and out of home, but you'll see the flexibility of the assets that can be used on a wide range of channels. She'll also take you through the Canva templates because we really wanted to make this editable, and so people can edit as they wish with the campaign identity. And we also have Spanish and French translations available too. Thank you, and over to Kim.
Thanks, Alex. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here today. To get things started and just to give you a sense of the campaign, we're going to show one of the reels. Just note that there is sound and motion graphics for anybody who has any sensitivities. Fox, we can play the first reel. Thank you. Just to get straight into the sort of thinking behind the creative, a core objective of this campaign was for it to present itself as upbeat, inclusive, and positive, really just sort of empowering the audience to be a part of this global team united against child sexual exploitation. A common sort of visual that you'll notice across all the assets is the inclusion of shoes or different sort of footwear. And this gave us the opportunity to speak to a global audience ranging in age, ethnicity, and regions. And then another sort of key identifier is the link to football, obviously. So you'll see a lot of sort of iconography and imagery associated with football just to sort of draw on that link. This asset in particular houses the QR code, which links to the campaign website. You'll be able to find all the relevant information and details pertaining to the campaign there. Yes, and something like this, as Alex mentioned, could be used as a banner on a web platform. And as I go through the assets, you'll see the dynamicness and the variety of formats that we can use. Thanks, Fox. We can go to the next slide. This is the first card of the asset range, and it's a static card targeting specifically partners and businesses. With all the assets that you'll see today, there's suggested caption copy and hashtags that accompany the assets. And then we've also made recommendations on the platforms that we think they'd work best on. So this static card could function really well on Instagram, Facebook, and X. And some of the assets have been applied to a Canva template, which I will show you almost close to the end. We can go to the next slide. Thanks, Stocks. So this card is a GIF. There is no sound to this one, but just allows for a little bit more of a dynamic portrayal of the content and messaging. This is targeting partners and businesses specifically, and again, very ideally suited for Instagram, Facebook, and X. We can go to the next slide. Thanks, Stocks. Card 3 is again another static aimed at partners and businesses. Again, with caption, copy, and hashtags, ideally suited for Instagram, Facebook, and X. Thanks, Stocks. Card 4 is the first of our carousels. A carousel is really awesome because it allows you to just include a little bit more messaging. This carousel in particular focuses on some of the warning signs to look out for, and can be applied to Instagram, Facebook, and X. Thanks, Stocks. Card 5 is a static aimed predominantly at men, calling on them to be a role model during this time. And again, like the previous statics, suitable for Instagram, Facebook, and X. Thanks, Stocks. Card 6 is another carousel, this one focusing at some of the warning signs, and also just sort of using iconic pictures to link to the text just to help explain from a visual point of view. Again, appropriate for Instagram, Facebook, and X. Next slide, please, Stocks. This is the second reel. We'll begin playing. And then just to, as Alex mentioned, just to sort of give you an overview, the assets have been applied to different languages. This is an overview of all the English assets. We can go to the next slide. Apologies, the Spanish assets have now come onto screen. But this is an overview of the Spanish assets. We can go to the next slide, please, Stocks. And this is an overview of the French assets. We can go to the next slide, please, Stocks. Thank you. Just to sort of round off the assets, as mentioned, we really wanted partners to be able to take ownership of these assets. And Canva is a great platform and allows a lot of flexibility in that sense. So this is just sort of a screenshot of what it would look like if you had to open up one of the assets in Canva. You'd be able to edit the text and insert your logo as needed. And that is an overview of all the creative assets. Thanks again. We are really, really excited to be a part of this and very excited to see the impact that this campaign has on the global community. Thank you.
And we are glad to see some positive reactions in the chat about the energy of the campaign. And here we can also feel the energy from Fitur at the stand of City of Mexico. So with this, I'm happy to hand over to Marie and Gary to share with us from the perspective of FIFA and how our initiatives can be complementary to safeguarding and child protection. Over to you, Marie.
Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be part of this campaign. Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you, Guillaume. I'm going to share my presentation and see if it works. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
And so I guess you're hearing me well since you're responding to me. So once again, thank you, Gabriela, Guillaume, and for inviting FIFA. It's always a pleasure, and you know that, to be reunited with one way or another with former ECPAT colleagues. And before Gary and I, who is connected, and you can see him, we explain a little bit more about the work that we do at FIFA to enhance the protection of children and everyone who is involved in the tournament. I first would like to really commend ECPAT International and the code members, as well as the Down to Zero Alliance, for this initiative. As an international federation, when we organize a mega sporting event, we have a specific remit, a scope, and we are aware that mega sporting events occur in specific cultural and social contexts, and with problems that pre-exist the event will continue to happen during the mega sporting events, and possibly exacerbated by the presence and the influx of hundreds of thousands of fans coming in, and they will continue after the event ends. And this is why initiatives like this one today, like the campaign that you're launching in partnership with the private sector and other sort of not-for-profit members, colleagues, is very valuable. Even though as an international federation, we understand and we embrace the fact that we have a responsibility and a duty of care, and we do have it, to enhance the protection of children and anyone who is connected with the mega sporting events, in particular, of course, children. It's also very clear to us and to everyone that it's not one person on one organization's job. I mean, this is very clear. So we all understand we have that all of us combined, we can bring something to the table. And I really liked the words of Maria del Carmen a moment ago when she said that all together we can create a tsunami. And I will, keep that in mind. And if you allow me, quote you in future presentations, because I think it's a good description of a good summary of how we should, continue to work together and combine our efforts. Having said that, I'd like to explain a little bit more about what we, do in concrete terms. I'll start, and this is for our Mexican colleagues who are on the call. We're very proud that, Mexico is one of the host cities. I love this slide. I will give you a bit of background information and discuss a bit the scope of the work that we do, and then Gary can go into more details, and I'll take a few minutes to do that. Basically, what we do from our departments is we try to tackle all forms of abuse and harassment. And we are guided by the definition that is used by the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. Basically, it's similar to the forms of violence that, in the child protection sector is used. We use the standard term of abuse and harassment because the IOC uses it, but it overlaps with the definitions that, the child protection sector is using. There isn't much difference. Of course, in doing that, there is an overlap within FIFA with colleagues who are working within the human rights department, because we do have a human rights department, and they address anti-discrimination, racism, etc. So we work very close in a coordinated manner, and basically we are in the same division when there is an overlap and there are incidents who are channeled through the human rights mechanisms, and they're really, strictly speaking, safeguarding topics, and it's resent to us. What is also important to understand is that the work that we do from our department in the context of the World Cups is that we first try to lower the risks. So there's the prevention side. So we deploy some protocols and processes so that we make sure that we minimize the risks. But we all know that zero risk environment do not exist. So we also prepared if there is an incident that is, flagged, reported to us, we are prepared to respond to the incident, especially if a child, a minor, is reported as being harmed. We are made aware of it. We operate with a victim-focused approach, and this is highly important for us. We've been, let's say, labeled years ago as an organization who is not investing enough in those aspects, and I think that now we've made huge progress. There's always room for improvement, but we've come a long way over the last 5 years. We basically started in 2022 with the first intervention in the World Cup, in the FIFA World Cup. It was in Costa Rica in the U20s youth tournament with girls. And that was the first ever time that FIFA had safeguarding operations in a World Cup. And since then a few months after, it was in August 2022, a few months after that, we piloted our protocols in India, another youth tournament. And since then, 3 years ago, the last 3 years, now we are basically covering between 8 to 10 World Cups every year. Because most of us, and that was my case when I joined FIFA, I only know the World Cup, what will happen in 26 in Mexico, US, and Canada. But there are many other World Cups that are organized by FIFA, youth tournaments, futsal World Cup, beach soccer World Cup, what we call the Olympic tournaments. So all of these tournaments, added together, as I said, are 8 to 10 tournaments yearly. The women's, of course, the Women's World Cup and the Men's World Cup. Tier 1, we call them Tier 1 World Cups. So in all these tournaments, Gary, who will speak in a few minutes, is overseeing safeguarding operations, protocols, and making sure that incidents of safeguarding involving adults or young people are rechanneled to them and that we can attend the victims. One last element that I want to flag, because this is a bit unknown and perhaps misunderstood, is the fact that because we are an international federation and we organize a competition, our remit really from a legal perspective and from our department is that we protect everyone who has an accreditation. And, when we say that, we have questions around what happens if a victim doesn't have an accreditation. That's a fair question. And it does happen quite a lot. So we have cases where we have one of our staff or a freelancer we hired for the competition who harasses the hotel receptionists. And we do get quite, many cases of incidents in hotels where hotel staff are somehow harmed or affected or impacted by inappropriate behavior. But the person who is the perpetrator is an accredited person. So that grants us, from a regulatory perspective, that gives us ground to immediately, after we receive the report, even if the victim doesn't have an accreditation, to contact, the victim, of course, offer supports, document the situation, and go to the person who's been accused. Equally, we follow some steps because we need to follow some basic steps to respect the rights of everyone. And then in a matter of hours and days, once we document and we are reassured that the situation really happens, then we take a sanction and we, of course, evaluate the severity of the behavior, specific elements. And the most severe sanction is the removal of the accreditation. And we need to understand that for someone who attends an event, a World Cup, if you don't have an accreditation, you have to go back home because you cannot enter the facilities, you cannot attend the matches. If you're a service provider and you sell foods, etc., and your accreditation is removed, it's basically the end of your business with the World Cup. ecosystem. You have to go back. It equally applies to a player if the player is sanctioned or someone from the surrounding of the team. So this is just an example of the type of sort of concrete measure that we can take. I'd like now to pass the floor to Gary, who can explain a bit more into detail regarding the 26 contexts in the 3 host countries. Thank you. Over to you, Gary.
Thanks, Mary-Lord, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm very pleased and I feel very humbled to be part of this group and to be able to present to you today just some information around the World Cup and some of the challenges and safeguards that we're putting in place with in partnership with our host nations as we go. So the objective of the World Cup is to deliver a safe and inclusive tournament for all participants. We talk about adults and we talk about children. And of course, what we've got is a large number of people, millions of people coming to different venues, different areas, different locations. And I'm going to talk about some of the challenges that we've faced. Next slide, please, Marilyn.
Now it's not working for some reason. Oh, here you are. Oops. Is that the correct slide?
No, need to go back one.
This one?
Yeah, brilliant. So the challenges that we have 48 nations competing in the World Cup, the biggest World Cup that's ever been staged across 3 different countries, 16 host cities that will be hosting those events, those matches on match day. And of course, there will be associated activities that the host cities and other independent agents will be able to put on that will be linked to the World Cup. So a lot of people in a very short time frame coming together over a 6-week period to watch the football, enjoy the football, and of course move between cities. Some of them will move between cities. Some of them will move between countries, even depending on the countries that they actually come from and the progress of those countries within the World Cup tournament. So we talk about millions of people, and of course, within the 3 different host countries, we have legislation to consider. We have languages spoken in those countries, and of course, the people that will be attending the World Cup and the different languages that they speak, and of course, the different cultures from across the nations. So put that into the melting pot, and there is a large amount of challenges for host cities. And I'll talk about how we do that in a moment. But we know that wherever large groups of people move and travel, there will be bad actors who will take advantage of that situation in order to gain access to children, young people, in order to commit offences of abuse, and that may be through a range of different activities, gaining employment, being involved in the activities, being where young people are. And of course, that becomes an infrastructure issue because people within that infrastructure will be able to recognize those bad actors and we hope report. And this is why the resources that we've just had demonstrated are so important. And look absolutely fantastic, I must say. So we will take every opportunity to speak with host cities when we do, and obviously promote those where possible, because it's important that we recognise those bad actors and we keep them out of the environment where they can cause harm. 3 countries, 16 host cities. And we are coordinated. Sorry, Mary-Lord, next slide. So the safeguards that we put in place, the FIFA World Cup 26 team is based in Miami, and they've got the responsibility for coordinating all of the activities around the FIFA World Cup and all the host cities. safeguarding is everyone's responsibility. I don't need to tell anybody that on this call, but we make sure that everybody understands what a responsibility they have to recognise safeguarding, what it means to recognise risk and implement measures that prevent that risk. And we issue those guidelines for implementation through a local plan. So all host cities are asked to develop a local plan which fits within their own remit. So if you think of the old bank motto or the logo, think global, act local. It's very much trying to protect everybody within that environment. So the local response is really, really important, but identifying and preventing that risk is equally as important. So what we'd encourage people is to make contact with their local authorities, or the host committees and the host cities, so that they actually have a first point of contact if there are any issues or problems that are reported. And really importantly, to share intelligence, because when we start to share intelligence across the footprint of the FIFA World Cup, then what may have been an issue in one host city, we can share that with other host cities, and they can start to look at preventing harm within those environments as well. And so this leads to greater, we hope, greater levels of protection for those people that need it, but also making sure that we manage any risk and eliminate that risk as we continue through the period of the World Cup. Our three main areas of operation within the World Cup and the host cities will be the training centres. So these will be exclusive environments where teams train, but of course that will attract large groups of fans and people coming to see those teams where they possibly can. Some will have open training sessions, others will be closed, but they will be exclusive facilities. The other areas are our stadium. So we work closely with safety and security teams within the stadium, and every stadium will have a safeguarding and anti-discrimination manager who will be appointed to work within that venue and making sure that where there are reported cases within the stadium environment, they're responded to in the right way, and that those people that need protection actually gain that. But we also deal under the different frameworks that you can see there. For accreditation holders, we have a regulatory framework, which Mary-Laure alluded to a moment ago, and that's all around accreditation. That's underpinned by a safeguarding and anti-discrimination code of conduct, and that focuses heavily on safeguarding, but also on protecting children within that and how people work with children, young people, when they're actually engaging as part of their football activities. And of course, official accommodation is our third area, and we've got hundreds of hotels that are actually signed up as official partners to the FIFA World Cup across the different host cities. And this is where, of course, people will be able to enjoy environments away from the World Cup, or environments away from the stadia, but also recognise that there are risks associated with that. And we took some of the risks have already been alluded to earlier in the presentation. So suspicious activity, people that have children that may not belong to them or don't look like they belong to them. What is that sixth sense that gives you that suspicion? And please, what we just asked is that people report it, and then someone can take some sort of action as necessary. It may be that it's a suspicion and it's unfounded, but the more we encourage to report, then the more people we have, more chance we have of protecting people. And finally, the last point there, the jurisdiction. Each host city has their own regulatory frameworks in terms of state law and local law. So it will be dealt with in a different way. Each country has their own federal law, of course, and we have that football safeguarding framework, which we want to make sure they all join up and line, and that's part of the remit of Matt and his team, who are based in Miami. So those are the safeguards, and some of the challenges of safeguarding in tournaments. And of course, we run the youth tournaments. This it promises to be a huge, successful, and real festival of football, which we hope everybody will enjoy. We hope you'll enjoy it, but we also want to make sure that everyone's safe and that everybody recognises their responsibility to protect children throughout the tournament, from start right the way through to the end. And where possible, we'd be talking to host cities and asking them to leave a legacy mandate in place that actually helps children and young people in the future after the event has finished. That's a very short overview from me on a very high level, but thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, and we are very much looking forward to continuing our cooperation and seeing how our efforts can be complementary. With this, I will hand over now to Marc-Antoine Terrien to share with us how the campaign can help with the efforts in preparation for FIFA in Canada. Over to you, Marc.
Thank you, Gabriela, and thank you to the IBCR for inviting Public Safety Canada to participate in this launch. And most importantly, thank you for your efforts towards the protection of children from sexual exploitation. Canada is fully committed to protecting children from all forms of harms, both online and in our communities. And as it pertains to child sexual exploitation and abuse, Canada has a dedicated policy instrument, which is called the National Strategy for the Protection of Children from Sexual Exploitation on the Internet, which Public Safety Canada has been leading since 2004, so over 20 years. This national strategy, it offers a comprehensive set of measures to tackle this type of harms, ranging from public education initiatives to pursuit and prosecution of offenders with specialized law enforcement units, trauma-informed support services for victims, research efforts, and strategic partnerships, both domestic and international. In Canada, we're of the view that prevention and awareness are key to disrupting harms. And so we do not spare our efforts to increase public knowledge. We target parents and caregivers, criminal justice professionals, child and survivor advocates, and most importantly, children and youth. Our thinking is that by empowering everyone to recognize the signs of abuse and to take action using dedicated resources and services, we multiply our efforts. Likewise, by engaging with survivors and raising their voices, we signal that lived experience is a powerful and an essential expertise to combat crimes of child sexual exploitation. As there's collaborating with all actors committed to protecting children from sexual exploitation is a crucial condition of success and effectiveness. And that's why Canada prioritizes engagement with civil society organizations, with international allies, and with the digital industry. Our work with ECPAT International and the International Bureau of Children's Rights illustrates our collaborative and whole of society approach in this space. While international sporting events like FIFA are celebrations of athletes' prowess and extraordinary physical and mental strengths, bringing together people from all parts of the world in a positive and festive atmosphere, such events create environments that can heighten the risk of exploitation and the risk of abuse. And that is a fact, and we cannot afford to be naive or complacent about it. And that is why Public Safety Canada is coordinating with federal partners, including the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and the Border Services Agency, to promote information sharing and awareness raising and to enhance operational readiness to respond. Public Safety Canada is also working with the Canadian Centre to End Human Trafficking, which is a strategic partner, to promote their hotline. The hotline is a confidential, multilingual, and trauma-informed service operating 24/7 year-round. It connects people who are being trafficked and survivors with local support, with services and law enforcement if they so choose. These types of services play a critical role during events such as FIFA by raising awareness again and providing referrals in real time. The We Protect campaign, Children campaign for FIFA 2026 is both a powerful and an impactful initiative led by Pat and their partners, and I want to commend them for the campaign resources and materials, which look fantastic. It shows their great dedication and their vast expertise, and more importantly, their willingness to break down silos and enjoin all actors to come together to protect children. Canada is happy to amplify this campaign and to contribute to our common goal of preventing the sexual exploitation of children during the World Cup. And I encourage you to do all the same. So thank you again, ECPAT and partners, for this incredible campaign. Thank you.
So glad to hear that you'll be amplifying the campaign. Thank you so much. And with this, I hand over to Jason Bailey and Salvatore Porcaro. And thank you so much for sharing your perspectives from the USA and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Can you unmute, Salvatore? I think it's at the moment there's some technical issue.
Yeah. Hello?
Jason, yes, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Sergeant Porcaro and Lieutenant Bailey from the Port Authority. And I believe we have Sergeant DePrima on the call with us also from our youth services here at the Port Authority Police Department. So basically, we'll just give you an overview of what we do here. We have Port Authority Police Department is a bi-state agency of New York and New Jersey. We oversee the trains, the bridges, the airports, and the tunnels. We have a youth service team here that deals between both states of New York and New Jersey. And our whole goal is to find runaway kids or any kind of children that involved in trafficking. Any at-risk youth. So on hand, we do have a counselor, a sergeant as myself, and in all our facilities, we do cameras for any juveniles that are left unattended, out of place, appear to be missing, or with individuals that they're showing signs that they are either deferred to or they're trying to avoid. And we do make stops based on juvenile being underage in transportation facilities. That being said, on all our facilities on a normal basis and for the FIFA World Cup, we do have signs showing warning signs of human trafficking, 24-hour hotlines. We do offer rapid response. We work with NYPD, New Jersey State Troopers, New York State Troopers, and all local jurisdictions. We do offer ACS to all the children or child services. So when FIFA does come this year, we'll be manning basically a 24-hour hotline to make any kind of calls, tips that come in, and then we'll address them accordingly.
Thanks so much, Jason. Yes, you want to add something?
Yeah, we're here to support you guys in any kind of facet in the future. We're also sent any kind of flyers for missing children that we do search the immediate New York City area. So if anything were to jump off, we could assist in any local agencies or tips that come through any of our organizations. We can offer our number at the end if anyone has any kind of tips that come in throughout the process.
That's wonderful. Looking forward to working together. And with this, I'm handing over to Ximena and your engagement with Paris.
Hola a todos, muy buen día. Encantada de conocerlos. Muchas gracias por la presentación. Y primero quiero empezar felicitando a ECPAT International por este gran esfuerzo. Definitivamente tienen un liderazgo que hay que reconocer en el sentido de que pues han asumido este rol de juntarnos todos los del turismo para este esfuerzo y la verdad es que estamos muy orgullosos desde Volaris de participar en este proyecto. Hemos sido pues miembros de The Code desde hace más de 12 años. Orgullosamente fuimos la primera aerolínea en Latinoamérica de adherirnos a The Code y la segunda a nivel global. Entonces en Volaris estamos muy contentos de participar en este esfuerzo pues que nos une hoy, ¿no? Y bueno, en un contexto en el que estamos ahora como el Mundial de Fútbol, articular y convocar a distintos actores del sector, pues es fundamental, ¿no? Y es fundamental porque es un momento en el que la movilidad se intensifica y los riesgos a los que se enfrentan nuestras niñas, niños y adolescentes a ser víctimas de algún delito, pues se amplifican, ¿no? Y este esfuerzo, entonces, de tener herramientas como la que nos presentaron hoy, pues toma más relevancia que nunca. Eh, pues bueno, nuestro proyecto está muy enfocado en la prevención, como ustedes seguramente conocen en el trabajo de Volaris, entonces nuestro protocolo que hemos implementado desde hace más de 12 años nos ha permitido pues tener aproximadamente más de 200 casos, posibles casos detectados y afortunadamente hemos logrado rescatar o proteger a 26 víctimas de este delito. Entonces estamos muy orgullosos de poder compartir con ustedes hoy esas cifras, ¿no? Y con el trabajo conjunto con ECPAT International. Y quisiera contarles que en 2024 lanzamos nuestra primer campaña de comunicación en México sobre este tema. Nuestra campaña se llama Ojos en el Cielo. La armamos, por supuesto, en colaboración con ECPAT México, en ECPAT International y con otros aliados importantísimos como UNODC, como Grupo Presidente, cerrando esta pinza de la cadena de valor del turismo. Y esta campaña nos permitió empezar a tener comunicación con nuestros pasajeros, con un público general en el cual pudiéramos articular y hablar, tener esta conversación, ¿no? De qué es lo que está pasando en México, principalmente un país que tiene tantos riesgos de que los niños y niñas y adolescentes puedan ser víctimas del delito de explotación sexual comercial en el contexto de los viajes y el turismo. Entonces, ha sido muy enriquecedor poder iniciar esta conversación con nuestros clientes, con nuestros pasajeros y con toda la gente que nos puede seguir. Y en este marco del Mundial, por supuesto, vamos a utilizar las herramientas que han creado desde ECPAT International para poder amplificar el mensaje de We Protected Children. Cuenten con nosotros para poder amplificar este mensaje. En Volaris tenemos más de 8 millones de seguidores en nuestras redes sociales, lo cual nos va a permitir llegar, por supuesto, a todas estas personas, entre otras que a lo mejor no nos siguen, pero están en constante comunicación o interactuando con Volaris. Entonces, estamos muy orgullosos de poder llevar este mensaje a todas estas personas, ¿no? Y básicamente pues seguir reforzando nuestra estrategia que trata primero de detectar y prevenir, ¿no? el posible delito, empezando por la capacitación De nuestros embajadores, anualmente capacitamos aproximadamente 6,000 embajadores. Embajadores son las personas que trabajan en Volaris, así los nombramos, y entonces estas personas en operación e incluso en los corporativos están perfectamente capacitadas para identificar cualquier posible víctima de este delito. Tenemos, por supuesto, nuestros códigos, nuestro protocolo, y además me enorgullece contarles que estamos trabajando muy de la mano con aeropuertos principalmente para ayudarles a articular sus propios protocolos y que podamos cerrar la pinza entre los aeropuertos, las autoridades aeroportuarias y otros miembros de la cadena de valor del turismo para poder pues tener esta protección integral de nuestras niñas, niños y adolescentes. Entonces, nuestra experiencia, por ejemplo, con Aeris en Costa Rica ha sido maravillosa. Ayudamos a articular sus protocolos y además a implementarlos, y estamos trabajando muy de la mano con ellos además en su campaña de comunicación. Ahora trabajando muy de la mano también con el Grupo Aeroportuario del Pacífico, que va a construir además un protocolo, implementarlo, y ahí estamos muy de la mano con ellos. Entonces, nuestro esfuerzo pues cada vez va avanzando un poco más para tomar a más miembros de la industria en este proceso y poder pues cerrar esa pinza de colaboración. Además, pues tenemos alcance regional, que es el que les contaba. Afortunadamente, Volaris es líder en Centroamérica, en Estados Unidos, en transporte de personas. Entonces, esto nos permite también tener una influencia importante para poder comunicar nuestros esfuerzos, ¿no? Y por último, como les decía, pues bueno, nuestra estrategia contempla esta comunicación que cada vez es más grande. Ahorita todos los equipos internos de Volaris están trabajando en la parte de comunicación para poder lanzar los mejores materiales posibles y que estén muy alineados a esta campaña. Entonces, no me queda más que agradecer el espacio, la oportunidad para compartirles la experiencia que tiene Volaris en este sentido, que estamos trabajando todos los días por mejorar también nuestros procesos, nuestros protocolos, por tener nuevas alianzas que nos permitan exponenciar nuestro impacto y ponerme a las órdenes de todas las personas que estén interesadas en conocer la experiencia de Volaris, y que a lo mejor podamos también tener interacciones entre distintos miembros de la cadena de valor del turismo o de otras instancias que quieran compartir también su experiencia con nosotros para poder siempre pues, mejorar cualquier proceso, cualquier acción que se requiera. Entonces, muchísimas gracias, estoy a sus órdenes, y gracias, Gaby, por la invitación, ha sido un placer.
Amazing leadership from Sigrid. Thank you so much for sharing and also this invitation to cooperate, and a great example of various campaigns that can be used. Thank you so much with this, and then everybody I think can hear it's getting quite loud at feature here, but it's great, it's alive. And I'm handing over now to Jill from Meeting Professionals International.
Thank you so much, Gabriela, and thank you to ECPAT International and PACT US Jill running MPI Global, which is Meeting Professionals International. The slide here is just sort of to give you an overview of whom MPI is made up of. Almost 12,000 members, and I am the chair Anti-Human Trafficking Committee, which is an extremely passionate bunch of events professionals. And our mission is to communicate to all of the chapters for MPI around the world to help educate on the crime and help end human trafficking across all of MPI's channels using social media and publishing live events. We present at global events and on the web. We've developed marketing messages for our chapters, educational programs, and social engagement calendars. And I am thrilled with the assets that Kim and Alex presented. This is so upbeat, and I think you are spot on with the way you're communicating this, and I'm excited to help spread the word. I am a native Houstonian, and Houston is one of the cities, and things are gearing up here as they should, but also we're tuned into how to protect the children, and this campaign is going to be very, very helpful and communicative in that arena. I know like the fan festival, I'll be working with some of those people to help communicate what we're doing and how. In our mission is to be aware and to recognize the signs and report any suspicious activity. Don't just sweep it under the table. And I don't remember who it was, but that little sixth sense that tells you something's wrong, that's when you make a report. And we make our, like Canada, we have a 24/7 800 number to call in support of victims and survivors. And I feel like I need to kind of speed things up because I know we're going to run out of time soon, but I so appreciate being able to be here and to communicate with all of you. I'm excited that we have an international, global organization around FIFA, what I call soccer, but football is, we're excited to see everyone come to town. I know Houston is abuzz and everyone is in preparation. And that's only one of, was it 16 cities? So I know worldwide this is going to be an incredible summer, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I thank you all for having me on. Back to you, Gabriela.
Here, connecting here from ECPAT International, but we work closely with our members in the respective countries. So now I'll invite Shane, Cecile, and Sarah to share brief updates on the developments of the campaign in your respective countries. Over to you, Norma.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you everyone for joining and being here today. It's really incredible to see everybody coming together, and especially with such little time before the event, but everybody's so focused on protecting children and safeguarding. And I just want to say thank you to everybody's work. So PACT, as a member of ECPAT in the United States, we are currently engaging with some of our local partners, local stakeholders. We're based in New York City, so we are closely working with the New Jersey Host Committee, the Center for Human Rights, which is essentially a safeguarding working group that has convened a few times over the last year or so, and bringing together local representatives, global experts, and in a way to strengthen prevention and response, around the World Cup. Some of the things that we sort of offer and that we are engaging with our partners and with external stakeholders on is being staff and vendors who will be sort of front line so they can recognize trafficking indicators and know exactly how to respond, helping establish simple reporting and escalation protocols, whether that's for stadiums, fan zones, airports, transport, and so forth, and coordinating local nonprofits and child protection experts, as well as law enforcement events. We are working in Houston as well in collaboration with Project Red Card on a few different initiatives. And I don't want to continue taking up all the time, so I am going to pass it to Cecile to talk more directly about our communications aspect of it all.
Thank you, Shane. Hi, everyone. I'm Cecile. I'm the communications director at PACT. Yeah, I think, I mean, Shane, you presented the main initiatives that that we're already working on, but I just want to emphasize, maybe from a comms perspective, that obviously PACT is committed to amplify the campaign that ECPAT International developed with Rooftop, and we're really excited about sharing the assets on our social media platforms, but hopefully beyond those as well. And I also want to tell all our US-based partners that are on the call today that I'm happy to be the point of contact if you need any support to customize the assets and to work together. I also want to add that we'll make sure to share our existing resources, educational resources targeting hotels and travel professionals, but also youth, parents and caregivers on our landing page, and we'll be developing new ones, also cross-posting probably with other potential partners, peer organizations, and we continue seeking other partnerships to add other avenues to disseminate the assets, thinking media space mainly. I really want to, I love the reels that you developed, so I would love to find space to display those in transportation, airports, or I don't know. So yes, please, I'll maybe drop my email in the chat, or I don't know if Gabriela, you will share our contacts later on, but any, again, US-based partners or peer organizations that we would be very excited about it. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, and over to Norma.
Gracias, muy buenas días, tardes, noches a todas de participar de este gran esfuerzo de la red ECPAT y de sus aliados en conformar esta campaña muy emocionante a nivel global. México, sin duda, es un gran país que enfrenta el enorme reto de proteger a sus niñas, niños y adolescentes durante esta Copa Mundial 2026. Vamos a alojar el partido inaugural el mismo día 11 de junio, que da arranque este emocionante momento de la Copa. Y sin duda, pues desde PAT México estamos trabajando y motivando a todos nuestros miembros de Decode a sumarse a esta campaña, a sumarse a este esfuerzo, articular los esfuerzos conjuntos y ser parte de un movimiento mundial en la prevención y lucha de la explotación sexual comercial. También motivamos a todas aquellas empresas, asociaciones e incluso a las instituciones público-gubernamentales que están sensibles o bien que tienen la enorme responsabilidad de la protección de las niñas, niños y adolescentes a ser parte de estos entornos protectores. Así que de mi parte, pues decir que estamos trabajando mucho con nuestros diferentes socios, no solo de las ciudades sedes, más allá de las ciudades sedes, a fin de poder realmente generar un entorno protector de nuestras niñas. Felicito enormemente el esfuerzo de todas y cada uno de las personas que han participado en este esfuerzo. Los artes están bellísimos, creo que nos van a permitir trabajar de manera muy cómoda en toda la cadena justamente de valor que implica la industria de los viajes y turismo. Y pues nada, estando en México también, decir, estamos felices de que también esté aquí con nosotros en México ECPAT Internacional a través de Gabriela y que podamos sumar esfuerzos. Muchísimas gracias y pues enhorabuena. No te escuchamos, Gaby, tienes tu micrófono cerrado.
I'm afraid, Gabriela, we cannot hear you, but I suppose you were handing over to our counterparts in Canada, correct? So the floor is yours for the International Bureau for Children's Rights.
Thank you, Guillaume. Thank you, Gabriela. Hi, everyone. So I'm so happy to be here. So I'm working at the International Bureau for Children's Rights. We are in Canada. We are based in Montreal. So unfortunately, we won't have any official game in Montreal, but we are here as a point of contact for ECPAT International for Canada. So I'm very excited and very happy. And I just wanted to say, so as a Canadian update, I wanted to say a huge thanks to Marc-Antoine, who is here for Public Safety Canada. And he's here to show the commitment of the whole country, because one of the main challenges, I would say, for Canada and for the other countries, the two other countries, is that the complexity, let's say, of responsibilities, meaning that the cities will have a huge power over the security of let's say, of the communities, basically. So we have to work with so many layers of authorities. So this is why, and Guillaume said it at the very beginning, this campaign is for everyone. It's not just, let's say, us, so ECPAT or the ECPAT members. It's really for everyone. So what's happening now in Canada? So we are still coordinated and meeting each other, because as you say, it's a huge country, and the games will be happening in Vancouver and Toronto. So we have also to make sure we all know each other and we all know who is doing what. So we are still coordinated, and I'm saying a big hi to the Canadian Center to End Human Trafficking, because just last week we were also having coordination meeting organized by the center about what is who is doing what. So I was there to present the campaign, and so basically this is where we stand, and we are all very committed to amplify each other campaigns. So there is a very, very dynamic network of great civil society organizations in Canada on human trafficking or child sexual exploitation. So basically it's a very collective adventure. We're all very committed, and as Cecile said, I would be more than happy to have my email address drop in the chat or in upcoming campaign materials for everyone here in Canada on the Zoom meeting. Then I would be really happy to be the point of contact and to share. I know it's great with this campaign. It will be it's just the beginning, because the very last game will be in the mid July. So we have 6 months of a campaign. So we have many opportunities between now and mid July to have big moments, big momentum to make this campaign live all together. And hopefully not just country by country, but also internationally. So I will stop talking. I was very long already. So again, I'm very excited. Please reach out, and I really hope to see you all again in the following month and weeks. Thank you so much again to all of you.
Thank you so much to everyone. My name is Fabio Gonzalez. I'm a member of the ECPAT Secretariat team. Our colleague Gabriela Fitur, and there seems to be a lot of joy and sounds in the background, and she cannot join at the moment. But for the moment, we are happy to share. If you could please give me a moment. Here you go. So in here you can find the landing page for the campaign. Here you can find all the campaign assets, allowing partners to engage. In this, you can adjust the campaign with your logo questions. You can reach out to the comms person. The contact is here in the page. You can use this address. You can use this QR code to share with other partners. The idea is for you to use them and to own them. And having said this, I hand it over to our Executive Director, Guillaume Landry.
Thank you, Fabio. And I'm sure your disappointed. It's more exciting to hear from Gabriela, but you're stuck with me, I suppose, as a concluding remark. And colleague put also in the chat the link, the web link, if that's easier for you to access. You have the QR code on the image there. So to see, these are two ways to just directly being able to use to access the assets. So there were questions in the chat, and it's fantastic to have seen, this conversation going on. So yes, you don't need to be a member of ECPAT or to have participated in the designing of those tools to use it. So it's really open to all private sector, government, tourism authorities, civil society movement. That's why there's space to add your logo, to own it, to adapt it. That's the spirit. So please go there and share it with others as well, so that we can create a movement together. If you have any issues in accessing the material, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. So you have the contact detail of Gabriela that'll come on screen as well. So just don't hesitate along the months to come, the weeks to come, to reach out if there's any concern in that sense. But really, that's the spirit of encouraging broad use of it. We know that sometimes it's costly, it can be kind of complicated to do that, but it's all to all of us to do it in a way that makes sense with the means that we all have to be able to have that kind of impact. It also speaks to the desire from us to, because please use it and adapt it, but there is of a movement. So if you're able to reach out to us and tell us how you've used it, how you've adapted it, and perhaps also some of the responses, the reaction, the engagement you got on it, this is gold, this is useful, so that you don't feel alone. This is not just your action at your level, but the compilation of those stories across countries and sector makes it really something that is powerful. So please engage with us and tell us how you've been using it, and that will sort of help us to build also momentums in the months to come. And you've seen also on the screen now, I just wanted to highlight that there is another aspect that we've been working on, and it's next week that there's another webinar that is organized. So you can register via the QR code there as well. So this is interesting for us, where we thought about the host of the different booking platforms. They are an actor that oftentimes have been neglected. You cannot expect from them the same thing than other tourism and travel authorities and professionals. So we've organized a series of focus group discussion to understand their need, their perspective. What can we reasonably expect from them? What are the key messages, the do's and don'ts we can recommend, so they can play their part again? And that led to a training with a sample of hosts to be able to again enrich the environment where people feel empowered to do something to protect children. So in that sense, we often refer to technologies playing a critical role in the way travel and tourism is being designed, and this is an attempt to sort of enrich that perspective. So next week we'll be launching this training material, so please don't hesitate to register and share that information with your counterparts as well. So the more the merrier, of course. And as usual, when ECPAT produces something, this is made available and it's free of charge. So that's something. It's just people being aware that this is one of the additional means and asset available to act on those matters. So I think without further ado, Gabriela, am I doing a good job? So we're right on time, but really just maybe by concluding, it's been exciting to hear such diverse and strong voices today. Thank you all for contributing and making this happen. And it's not over yet. It's important now that we translate this into action at our respective level. So please engage with us, use this material and share it with others, and let's make things happen so that we can build the excitement and the story along the way up until next summer in North America. So thank you, everybody, and thank you to the ECPAT team as well that made this smoothly possible. So thank you all. Have a good day or evening, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you very much, Guillaume. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
We
you.
conclude the webinar with this. We're leaving the session open for a while, so some people I see they're networking in the chat, but with this conclude the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Gracias.
Bye.
Muchísimas gracias y muchos éxitos en esta fantástica campaña. Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you all. Talk soon. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.